Welcome, fellow Toastmasters, and our very welcome guests to the 5th Rock Your Path session. I'm Jamie Richter, and I've been working with Sara Leiste to help fellow Toastmasters get the most out of their Pathways experience. As we've reached out to clubs and members, we realized very quickly that dealing with technology wasn't the only challenge that Toastmasters had. We took the feedback from our clubs and put together this 6-part series to help you get the most out of Pathways and your Toastmaster experience overall. We started out this series helping you find a path to reach your goals. Then we talked about how you can brainstorm what to talk about. After that, we talked about those awkward speeches. Last month, we talked about how to evaluate your progress and choose the electives. Today, we'll talk about the projects in levels 4 and 5 and how you can use them to help you reach your goals. And next month, we'll talk about how you too can achieve the Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Just like we did in the second session, today we're going to take some time to brainstorm the projects and leadership roles that you're already taking on, and how to identify the projects within Pathways that will help you along the way. We'll then flip it. We'll look at the different projects available to you to see if there's any additional that are interesting that will give you experience that you're looking for. If you've missed any of these sessions, you can go to the District 6 website, d6tm.org, go to Programs and then Pathways. And we have a replay for all of the sessions and a link to register for that last session next month. Let's get started. I want each and every one of you to get a pen and piece of paper out. You are going to get more out of Toastmasters if you're good at brainstorming and writing things down. That's how you can hold yourself accountable to your goals and take note of the things that can help you reach your goals. Get that pen and piece of paper out. I'm going to get a Word document out so that you can see what I'm brainstorming. Today, as we're brainstorming, I want you to think about 3 key areas: what you're doing within Toastmasters, what you're working on at work, and what you're working on in your personal life and community. For those of you who are retired, if you have any part-time things, you can add that into work or just skip that category altogether. We're going to take 5 minutes to brainstorm some of the projects and leadership roles that you're already taking on. I'm going to type in as we go. Feel free to steal any of my ideas or take inspiration from any of my ideas. One thing I noted here is something that I was used to doing pre-COVID that I'll probably need a little more practice on again. I put in live presentations. Feel free to go back to anything that you feel you haven't had to work on in a while. You'll also notice some that you may keep fairly vague, or you may need to be thoughtful on the people that are helping you with these projects. I think about a lot of things at work. Those are more private to my company. Therefore, I'm going to utilize Toastmasters that are in my company's Toastmaster group. And I'll probably get some feedback from people outside of Toastmasters that I work with. You may also have fundraisers or family events that you're now starting to plan. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, how many ideas do you have? Do you have 1, 3, 5, 10, more? I don't care how many you have. My goal is to get you starting to think about some of those things you're working on, because the next step is going to be, how can Toastmasters help you with these roles? We're going to switch now and share Toastmasters International webpage. This is where you're going to go to look at your educational content. You have a couple of different options to find the content. First of all, we talked about in the first session, you can go to Pathways and learn more. If you scroll down, you'll see all of the paths, and when you click on a path, you'll be able to see the different levels, and you'll be able to open up the elective projects. Downside is there is no description. Now that you've already chosen a path, you can go to Pathways and then go to Basecamp, and you can open up your own paths, see the projects available specifically to you. Going to open one of your paths. And then regardless of where you're at in the level, some of you are still on level 1, some of you might already be at level 5. Regardless of where you're at, I want you to click on level 4. Each path has at least one project that's specific to the path, and then you'll have electives where you'll be able to choose an elective, and you're going to see the same for levels 4 and 5. One of the things that I have is managing change. Who in here is going to have to deal with some change very quickly? Who in here is going to have to help communicate that change? This project, I have a feeling, will be very helpful for a lot of people that are in the leadership paths. If you click on the elective projects, you're going to see a whole host of different projects available to you. One thing you saw in my list was Club PR. Some of the projects I've looked at are building a social media presence, writing a compelling blog. There's also a podcast. I don't know that I have the energy for that, but that would be a great one. Public relations strategies. There are several different projects that could help me with that goal. Managing online meetings. I'm going to have to figure out hybrid meetings, not only for Toastmasters, but also at work. Managing online meetings, I've already done in one of my other paths, and it was very helpful having an engaging online meeting. Didn't really get into the hybrid side of things, but I feel like a lot of the same things apply, and that ability to get feedback specifically on how things looked for the virtual audience, I think is very helpful. And I think that's something a lot of us will be using as we figure out that transition. Managing a difficult audience. Anytime you're dealing with change, you're going to have a difficult audience. One thing that I want to remind people is this project gives you some guidance on some of the disruptors that you're going to assign. If you're trying to get practice with a different disruption, feel free to give that to your club. One of the things you're going to have to deal with is someone that's afraid of change is constantly bringing you back to, but do I really? But do I really? Make that a disruptor if that's something you're nervous about and want practice on. You're going to have the echoing voices. I had a meeting today where we had several people in the office, several people at home. We had someone that was in the office for the first time, 8 a.m. right away, still trying to figure out his technology. Naturally, his audio was very challenging. That could be a disruptor. It's going to happen to all of us. This gives you a chance to practice in a safe environment. Some of you, I know me, I want to get some project management experience. This could be a project that I decide to choose. If there's ever any of these that you're looking at and you're scratching your head, I'm not sure, click on Activate. Click on Launch. You can launch any of these without screwing up your path. Mine's been taking a minute to load today. We're going to give it a minute, but the first several pages in here give you a nice synopsis of what the project entails. And if you start working through a project and realize it's just not right for what you're working on, look at the next project. This path and this education is here for you, no one else. This is here for you, and you're going to take out of it what you decide you want to take out of it. You have an introduction that gives you a good idea of the purpose of this project. You sometimes have a couple of pages. And then you have the purpose and overview. Those are very helpful pages. And then the project checklist, or even a couple of pages in, not the evaluation, but it shows some of the competencies that you'll work on. Sometimes you'll end up doing a project, but have several speeches as a part of that project where you'll go back to the earlier levels and use speeches. A great example of this is my Rock Your Path series. This involves 6 long speeches virtually. I've used different projects to help improve my vocal variety, include my gestures, tell stories, and make it more engaging, all while doing my high performance leadership project. Go back to our curriculum. You also have level 5. Here's the deal with level 5. Level 4 is typically project related. Though it can take some time to work on these projects, they're typically shorter term, maybe a month or less. Level 5, many of these are longer term. You take on a 6-month leadership project. I want each and every one of you, regardless of where you're at in your path, to look at level 5, to think about, am I taking on a longer term role where I would like some support? Lead in any situation is a good one. Elective projects, your high performance leadership, that can take time. Ethical leadership. Leading in a volunteer organization, if you're an officer at any level, that could be a great one for you. There's also some shorter ones. I shouldn't say shorter, it's not like your icebreaker, but prepare to speak professionally. If you're helping out with a club officer training, this might be your project. It's a longer term speech for a larger audience. Moderate a panel discussion. I've done that for an open house before, and that worked really well for that setting. You get to choose these, but sometimes you're going to work on one of these as you're working on the rest of the levels, and you'll complete multiple projects within that one because of the different things that you need to do to complete this project. Now that you've had a chance to reflect back on the brainstorming that you did and which of these projects will help with that, I want you to take a second look at these projects. Start with level 4. What are some of the projects that maybe aren't on your list of things that you are already doing that are very interesting to you? Have you ever wanted to create a podcast, but you never had anything forcing you to do it? Or a blog? Have you ever thought, what if I could have a better social media presence? What if I was the one leading this meeting? I want to work on a project. If there are any of these that aren't necessarily in your list, feel free to add it to your list, even if you don't know what you want to work on yet. Add it to your list. If you have one of these and you're not sure what you want to work on, that's where you connect with fellow Toastmasters and friends. Talk through, here's what the project is. Do you have any ideas? There are often times that they'll identify things that you're already working on that you didn't even think about. I'm on a committee for one high performance leadership project where the person is creating a manual that will help others as they're working with people with autism. She has a client that has autism that's trying to get more independence. It's a young adult. And just going to the grocery store, especially now with COVID, creates a lot of anxiety for this client. Getting him comfortable wearing a mask, getting him comfortable with the people, the beeping, the noising, the people that get up close to him. And she's been working on different exercises to help calm him down when he gets overstimulated. But there are other things. Walking through the park, even in his apartment, or budgeting. There are so many different challenges that she hadn't had to deal with in her life that she's now helping someone with. And she hasn't felt fully equipped. She hasn't felt like there have been a lot of resources. She worked with her team. She started with 3 people that she's very close with in Toastmasters to brainstorm different ideas. And then when she fell in love with that idea, then she brought in some other people. She brought in me to help with the personal finance side. She brought in someone who has a family member that's dealing with autism. She brought in someone from a school district. She brought in a whole team of people to bring in expertise so she can create this manual and guide that not only she can use as she's working with this individual, but she can share with others to help others. I am so excited for her, and it all came from her brainstorming ideas with the 3 mentors she started with. That's all it takes. Not only that, you have a ton of district leaders that are looking for people to raise their hands and volunteer for different projects. If you come to one of us and say, I really want to create a podcast, do you have any ideas? I have a hunch we'll find a few ideas. In fact, we have 2 people in our district that created podcasts for District 6. They're very fun podcasts. I love watching them and enjoying them. I've also seen a couple of blogs out there from different members to promote their clubs, to promote Toastmasters, to promote learning in general. There are so many different things that you can do. You just have to get good at brainstorming and then figure out where to move forward from there. Another thing I want to make sure is very clear is this path is for you. I've done speeches that were laid out for 5 to 7 minutes where the curriculum made sense for what I was working on, even though I had a longer speech. For these Rock Your Path sessions, I've used some of the projects within level 3 to help make my speeches more dynamic, more engaging, and better for the online audience. That's okay. This is your path. Do what you need to do to make progress. I've also heard, I was on the Toastmasters International Facebook page, also a great way to get support and ideas. Someone posted asking what people did for their high performance leadership projects. Some of the projects listed, one was a Toastmasters on demand, where they recruited people to do videos just like this. They posted it on their YouTube page and people could pull up Toastmasters International videos on demand during the pandemic. I saw several drives, coat drives, toy drives, fundraisers, speechcraft events. There were a lot of speechcraft events. Toastmasters Learning Institutes. There was even one, there was a 5-day conference with 1,200 attendees around the world. I would love to see more of that. You don't have to. It can be as simple or complex as you decide to make it. But that one comment could have discouraged a lot of people. They said, I thought that the high performance leadership was supposed to be outside of Toastmasters and for a volunteer thing. I haven't read all of the specifics around the high performance leadership project, but at the end of the day, this is a project to get you working with a team of at least 5 mentors, putting together a team, putting together a process. Ideally, it's helping the community. All of these listed help the community in some way, shape, or form, and help the member put together a project with their team of at least 5 people. And they worked through the process within the program to learn how to manage a project and lead a team. Fellow Toastmasters, don't get discouraged by people that question and look at the specifics and say, you didn't follow that project exactly how it's written. I want you to rock your path and get the most out of this experience. Now that we've talked about how you can use the projects in levels 4 and 5, I want you to go back, take this brainstorming, and develop a plan to work through these projects. Then next month, I want you to join us. We're going to talk about how you can put this all together to attain your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. A few announcements before we cut this off. I'm going to stop sharing though. It is the end of the Toastmasters year. There's a couple of things that we need to do. First of all, it is time to elect the Toastmaster of the Year for your club. This is an excellent year to recognize those that made 2020 successful for your club. We are asking in District 6 that you send by June 1st the nomination for your club to your area director. In the districts, we bring these awards to the Area Toastmaster of the Year, the Division Toastmaster of the Year, and the District Toastmaster of the Year. It is a really cool experience when you get acknowledged for the District Toastmaster of the Year. I want one of your members to get that opportunity. Please take that time to nominate the person who helped you get through 2020 to your area director. Second, we have until June 30th to submit our officer list to Toastmasters International. It's very important that we get that submitted on time so that your district leaders can get information about the incoming officers and get them invited to district officer training. That will also help make sure that Toastmasters International gives the right access to the leaders coming into your club next year. Take that time through this next month to talk with your club and elect the incoming officers for the upcoming year and allow them to get training right away at the beginning of their journey to help them have a successful Toastmasters year. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you next month. In the meantime, go and rock your path.